All right. This is the after chapter discussion for 9.63. I'm Mr. Wiggles. I'm hosting today. Ederon was supposed to co-host with me for the first time, and I was going to help them out by reading our comments, but Ederon had something come up, so I will be just hosting in general. So, let's just get started with general impressions. What did you all think about the chapter? Any standout scenes? Any scenes you guys didn't like? Anything like that. Go ahead and ping me in reactions, comments if you want to speak, or just type it out. For now, I'll give my general impression. I really liked the chapter. It was like a 8.5 out of 10. I don't even know why I bothered coming up with numbers. I just say a random number basically between 8 and 9 out of 10 because I love all the chapters. So yeah, I love this chapter, even if it was really it had some dark moments in it, like the jar scene. That was some dark stuff that Pirate Habit came up with, and it really drives home how disturbing Rochelle is. But I love how we got to look back into Rabbiteater and his whole dealio, which kind of cements for me that uh, Rabbiteater's battle at sea is going to be part of the Solstice event, which I kind of predicted that already, but this cements it for sure that it's going to be part of the Solstice, and that makes me very curious. And I have some predictions about it that I'll share later. But other than that, um, learning about the lords or the new slave lords in Rochelle was really fun, even if they're creepy weirdos like Thadalokian. He is, probably the quote unquote coolest of them, even if he is still a slaver bastard. So yeah. Otherwise, it was interesting learning about them because it seems like the Rochelle has a plan for the solstice, and I'm interested to see what exactly that is. If it goes against Aaron, or if it's supporting her. But in the future, Rochelle is definitely going to be an antagonist towards Aaron in some way. And learning about them, getting them fleshed out now is good. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Let's go to Sidehammer.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this chapter. That Lokian was also my favorite of the slavers that we met. Though I was interested in seeing Kalinad, the old Kalinad, and I drew some interesting parallels with him and what's his name, the Prince of Men, which was interesting. I wasn't expecting to see a lot of you know old slaver in the same place as you know Grand Prince, but those could have gone one of the same areas back in the day. Um, I do love Saravel and Rabbiteater's relationship a lot. I do love that she can hug him through his armor, and I do love that she's throwing everything away just to try uh, to to keep her friends together. That was a really nice point to me. But aside from that, I think I'll wait for the questions. I really enjoyed it.
All right, thank you, Sidehammer. I I definitely agree with you about Seraphil and Rabbit Eater. That is, this chapter kind of cemented for me that that's definitely a ship going forward. That's probably going. Oh, it might not sail because of Stillowin and the royalty of Calenver, but if Seraphil actually wants to get away from her parents' power and do something herself, she could end up with Rabbit Eater at some point. Maybe. You know, it's still pretty long shot, but I could see it now.
Well, the king needs his princess.
That's true. All right, thank you, Side Amber. Next up, actually, Kermit, you wanted to talk about the Calnat dude.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that out of all of the ghosts that came in, they chose him to put in the wishing well. And I have to wonder whether part of it is that he went out to do that quote celebration by attacking a village under Rochal's aegis or control. And I have to wonder whether they considered him to be too much of a loose cannon to even just have around alive, being in charge of things. Sort of shows
Yeah,
how different they've gotten since the nation has started.
yeah, he's a warlord. He has no subtlety at all, and it was Yazdil who kind of trapped him there, and Yazdil wanted to also trap Pazarol, the the ghost who could take over other bodies. But the reasoning between the two was very different. For Yazdil, he wanted to get rid of the Kalanad guy because he's just a warlord. That's all he is, and Rochelle does not want a warlord. They do not want a warlord leading them. At least Yazdil doesn't. So that was his reason for getting rid of him. For Pazarol, I don't know how to say his name. Yazdil did say that he wanted to get rid of him because he was cunning, but because he's cunning, he didn't get trapped in the same way. Descanter replies to Action Kermit by saying, also consider that Loren would be a direct threat to Yazdil since he actively wants to purge/enslave non-humans, of which Yazdil is one. Yeah, absolutely. Loren is, someone who we could obviously tell he is not going to change his opinion on non-humans. And we don't actually know if Yazdil is a Naga or a human, but regardless, that's still a threat to Yazdil. And by know if he's a Naga or a human, I mean, was he born a Naga or a human? Who knows? It's still up in the air even after this chapter. All right, let me just read out some comments now. Donkey 2012 says, a very Rochal chapter, dark and unpleasant, but I couldn't stop reading. Bookcase says, it was jarring. Got him. Thank you, Bookcase, for your amazing, amazing pun. I was really, really taken by it. Dart Time Guru says, Siaments it, nice one, Wiggles. I don't know what that pun is supposed to be, so I'm sorry. I think I said it wrong. Rhythm and Brew says the whole chapter was dark moments to me. Some were dark gray and some were black as Rigrika's pa. Other people are in a meeting in the house, so I had to be quiet. Okay, it's okay. Yeah, you're right. It definitely had some very dark moments, and it was definitely a downwards trajectory chapter. It was getting worse and worse as the chapter went on, rather than worse than better. Bookcase says Thaddelokian is amazing. The other ones are interesting too, but Thaddelokian is the most interesting so far. I'm very interested to see what they're going to do after the solstice. Also notice how guns never came up in that chapter. Mr. Yazdil still has someone working on making more guns for him, right? Almost certainly he has Jin that could replicate guns if his smiths aren't capable of it yet. Yeah, he does. He is working on guns, though. We haven't gotten an update on that in quite a while. As the Thaddelokian, I agree with you that he was the most interesting of the slavers, but it's kind of interesting to me as well that I saw some comments in chat that were like he was the most boring for them, and it's just kind of cool to see how people react, because I think for me the reason Thaddelokian is the most interesting is because he's like the most morally gray, even if he is very very obviously still on evil side of morally gray, but I like it because he was more morally gray than the other slavers, whereas I think other people find that more boring and they just want evil. And speaking of evil, Linu says evil. The chapter was EVIL. Big, big evil. At first I gave it 5 out of 10, But I think this is a 10 out of 10 chapter because to me it was like a dark mirror to my beloved heroes. If the other great champions of the Demon King, namely Sylvania, Serenpatva, and Zatha, are an example of what a cat should follow, mainly Sylvania though, 99.99 she, but hey, honorable mention to Sari and Kazatha too. Then when I look at the characters from this chapter, Slavers and Tyrant, they're a great way for me to see what a person shouldn't be. Bunch of treacherous, egotistic, vile, evil pieces of shit. So my main takeaway from this chapter is kind of like if it was an example of how evil and vile someone can get and what evil can lead to. Boo on the vile, burn them all, hellfire pillar times 1,000, straight onto their twisted, corrupted hearts if they have hearts. Wow, that was a lot, all packed in there, Linu. You're right though. They are some evil, twisted people. Just the wishing well alone is one of the. It's like one of the most horrifying things I've read in fiction. Just like the concept of it. It's crazy, 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 crazy. Um, Sir Bear says it was a necessary chapter. We needed to develop Rochelle to make them more of a classic villain. Too many storylines got Rochelle as a big villain. Trey slash Floss, Pisces slash ex-slave friends, Ryoka slash Pursua, Aaron, Antinium. I'm a bit sad they were not developed earlier in V9. Pirate Abba fits it well with the magical powers of the Winter Solstice to resurrect the slavers. Yeah, I think I'm fine with it being developed here rather than earlier since they're still not a major they're major antagonists, but they're still not in major conflicts with our characters at this moment. They haven't had big story beats yet. It's planned for the future, I'm sure, but it's not happened yet. So I'm fine with it being developed right now. Kania says, I found the Rochelle part pretty interesting, even if it was basically the ghost's introduction. It seems that it is developing Rochelle as a more organized antagonist for the future. In the part with Rabbiteater, not that much happened, but it was set up for the battle and possibly revealing of his and the possible revealing of his identity, and that could be pretty interesting. Relia says that part where the Rochelle guy was turned into a bald man, and also the cutaway where the Terandrian fleet was massacred, were actually super scary. Shouldn't have read that at midnight. It's been a while since Pirates done horror, to be honest. It's a nice throwback. Also, by the way, Rabbit X Cerevel, OTP for Evs, and classic Relia with a ton of emote faces. Yes, but you're right, Relia. This was a really good horror chapter. You always love to see it. Horror is probably one of Pirate Abba's strongest points. They do it very well, and it's just great to see. Donkey says, I think that Lokian is going to be like a Rochelle version of Ascrash. He's mild enough to collaborate with until it's time to kill him. Yeah, you're right. He's similar in dark evilness to Ascrash to me. I can accept that. I can accept that comparison. Wovlu says Sadalokian came across less as evil and more like a guy to whom the ends justify the means, which makes sense for a guy who lived in an age where seamwalkers walked the world and there was no magic to help fight them. The others are just jerks. So, see, to me, the ends justify the means, and people who live by that philosophy, those are evil people to me. Wovlu, like 99% of the time, ends justify the means is evil. So yeah. Rhythm Brew says Thadalokian is not the same kind of evil as others, but still evil to me. Yeah, same. That's how I feel about him too. All right, these are some good general impressions. Let's kind of move on, and this will be a quick questions. For stream watchers, did Pirate Abba say why Thadalokian got a new name? Because because they planned out, they just wrote out this like whole first part of the chapter, but they forgot that they had already named them in the past. So yeah, that's probably the reason. Anyways, first question. On a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the Pisces slave interlude, how horrifying / dark was this chapter to you? Was it? I know at least one person in chat uh, did not want to read the chapter simply because of the Rochelle perspective. So I know it was horrifying enough to some of you, but I know others were thinking it wasn't dark enough. So just want to know what your guys' thoughts are. It doesn't need to be too in depth, but for me this was like a 4 out of 10 on the horror scale, with uh Pisces being the top. Like, it was definitely horrifying, but at the same time, um it didn't go as in depth into the horror as the Pisces chapter did. And it wasn't horror involving characters A, we knew and liked, or B, characters that were actually good people. The horror mainly involved Lorhoren, and it's not justified to do this to Lorhoren, but I don't care that it happened to him at the same time, right? Because, he's a horrible human being. But anyways, Sidehammer, what'd you think?
Uh, easily, easily less than the recreate interlude stuff. That dude was astoundingly evil, especially what's happening to innocents and stuff. So, like you said, I got 3 or 4. Uh, basically took all my reasons, but yeah, it's not someone I personally like, or something like that, or someone who has no relation to the thing whatsoever, someone innocent, then I don't really care. However, I did. There was some satisfaction towards Lauren getting his comeuppance, but it did make the Ymir just a little more scary, Uh, ever since he's kind of took over Scott Kent, or whatever that guy's name is, then I don't know if he's actually like inside Scott's head, or if he's just controlling Scott as a puppet. But he's been pretty freaky to me. But this just kind of solidified it even more.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you that this kind of just cements how evil Rochelle and Yazdil are in general, and how horrifying they are. And I think if the Wishing Well makes an appearance in the future, this kind of setup will have helped make it even more horrifying. Thank you, Sidehammer. Rhythm and Brews. Sorry, I'll say that first 3 people have said that it was a 6 out of 10, and 1 person has said it was a 9 out of 10. Rhythm and Brews says it's a Mr.Wiggles rating of 8.5. No. Okay. Dang it. Anyways, Donkey says 4 or 5. Not much explicit horrifying stuff except a jar. Mostly just look at these jerks, worry about what they will do later. Bouquet says, Bouquet says, in my opinion, the Geneva GGGG chapter was more scary than Pisces slave interlude for me. Um, it's, I would say Pisces was still worse for me because it was more, like, there was more varied horror, and it was just more horror in general. Geneva was like, oh yeah, Geneva was pretty bad though. It's true. It was pretty darn bad. Morchen says 6 because none of the characters I connect to were involved, or at least in Rochelle. The parts where Rabbiteater was almost exposed were quite thrilling. Oh yeah. I kind of think that's set up for the Solstice and Iridoran possibly doing something to Rabbiteater then. Dark Time Goose says there's a non-human pretending to be a knight, besmirching the good name of Airbath. Truly horrifying. Yes, you're right. That was the most horrifying part of the chapter. It was just whoa. Kill One says 7. Most of the evil was abstract until the jarring moment, but the explicit discussion of slavery itself was scary in its justification. Huh. Yeah, that's a good point. I like that explicit discussion was scary. Yeah, I like that. Relia says, whenever pirate lets the viewer draw their own conclusion from what's happening off screen is always the scariest. So that messed up stringfolk holiday where the slaves were sexually assaulted and the Pisces interlude was worse than the 2 cutaways here, but not by much. Mainly because we ain't really seen the Bloodfeast Raiders in action before, so it's kind of a long-term payoff, both that and the fact that the worst at the battle scenes have mostly been on the Floss enslaves them all angle, not like an instantly unalive them all angle. Why did you make me read unalive? Damn it. Anyways, okay. Relia also says 9 out of 10. All right. I do agree that, you know, letting the reader kind of fill in the gaps of what's happening is a great way to do horror. The only thing is, like, with the Lauren section, I just kind of don't want to think about what's happening during his rating. So I'm blanking it out. I'm not thinking about it. And the Blood Feast or Blood Tier pirates definitely did nasty stuff, but blanking that out too. All right, Lunu says 10 out of 10. I wanted to vomit. Meow-ree. Like, holy fuck, we've had a description from the perspective of the guy who got jarred and how he was realizing that something went wrong and now he changed into that cat puke. And that Ginny, that poor Ginny. It was a Ginny that I think got literally broken by Yazdil because how a Ginny of all people can do these things willingly for a slaver, only if they are broken. Yazdil gave them illusion of freedom. That damn Naga. Rashal makes me want to vomit. They deserve death, and nothing less than that. Ultra disgusted cat noises. And then a face of a cat going ew. Yeah, I could definitely see how you don't like that, though I do think on the Jenny side, there are, no species is going to have people who all act one way. And slaves do sometimes work with their masters. They get used to slavery and they work around it. I'm not saying that the Yazdil didn't break this one or do something, but I could see, just a slave hurting other slaves willingly. It does happen. Sir Bear says it was tame, dark, 4 out of 10. It has creepy undertones, especially with Paxaril. The only true dark thing happens to a guy that every reader would want that to happen to. I guess the random murder of people for their bodies can be dark, but I think they are all slaves, so it's better being dead than being slaves, probably. I wonder where Ascrash got all his bodies, though. No idea. I don't want to think about that either. Thing is with... I don't know. Yeah, good point, Sir Bear. Relia says GGGGG, sorry. Relia replies the bookcase by saying GGGGG was pretty bad, but honestly, it's kind of like the 5th time her life has sucked. Like, her whole arc is losing her mind, so it's a slightly weirder aspect of her chapters, whereas Pisces had a truly unexpected day, same as the Ivory Five, one of the top and founding slavers of Rochelle. That's a good point, that Pisces hasn't had these kinds of things happen to him in the past, so that sharp contrast with where he was before does add to the horror of the moment. Though, I will say Geneva still was a horrifying thing to deal with. I would rate Geneva's chapters like an 8 out of 10 on if Pisces is a 10 out of 10. Val Thrain says 6, not horrifying, but the kind of visceral disgust that finding a cockroach in your house provokes. Each time we look into the Rochelle perspective is like picking up a stone full of vermin underneath. Yeah, Rochelle needs to burn and get just erased. All right. Luna says, just point to Ask Crash. This is a big thing. Readers, including me, tend to forget that Ask Crash is not just jobber Azkarat, but also a true evil that is willing to kidnap people to experiment on them like he did in Volume 8, or create a body for a tyrant like he did right now. It's all fun and games, a funny jobber, until we see that he's still an evil lich, not some good perilled chandler, but an evil lich. Excellent point, Linu. Sometimes we do forget that Azkarash is a bastard at heart. He's been humanized so much that you kind of want to root for him, but he's still a bastard. Sir Bear says, I don't remember Azkarash experimenting on people in V8. I think Linu is referring to when Linu says he did to find a way how to bring Aaron back. Yeah, I think he experimented on some people then, though I'm not 100% sure on that. I know he experimented on some animals. Okay, let's move on from this question. Another question about the ghosts. How will the level downgrade affect the 5 remaining ghosts? How is their power gonna be affected here in Rochelle? Are they gonna be able to be leaders of Rochelle, or are they gonna kind of get enslaved by Yazdil like Loren did? This is kind of interesting because it seems like there's 3 factions forming in Rochelle right now. Or there's also Narhavia to consider, but there's 3 factions in Rochelle. There's Yazdil, there's Pazarol, the ghost who takes over other people's bodies, and then there's Datalokian's faction, that is Datalokian, Andra, and Shaluli. I don't know how to say her name, but yeah, that seems to be the 3 factions, and it's kind of interesting to think about how they're going to go forward with this, because if they remain if they remain at each other's throats, it's kind of like Rochelle could just self-destruct at any moment if it gets too big of a infighting, which would be good. It would weaken Rochelle. That'd be great. Anyways, Bookcase says, well, apparently Nurhavi got some power-ups too for the trade-off, and quoting the chapter, but she had stolen from death as well. She concentrated and her hand turned translucent. Narhavia walked through Torrent, turned, and smiled as she rematerialized. She did get something from this whole deal, but at the same time, I have to say, I don't think the trade-off was worth 10 levels. I think that's obvious. Like 10 levels, if she's just got one class, is a huge loss of levels at her level. I don't know how else to say that, but yeah. She can regain them. Bouquet says life is worth the 10 levels since she can probably regain them. Yeah, obviously. Being reborn and being alive again is absolutely worth the 10 levels. It's just like, it's still a really hard pill to swallow. And if she regains them, she'll probably get even higher and more powerful skills and such. Wovu says they gain access to revival classes, could be stronger than before. Oh yeah, you can always get stronger. You're definitely gonna get stronger than you were because of this level loss, but At the same time, getting to that point is difficult. As we've seen with Kilbish, he has lost, 20, 30, 40 levels, something like that. He went from a level 44 Sword Slayer and a level 27 or something other class down to, very low levels, mid-teens, low 20s in all of his classes. So it's not guaranteed they'll gain all of their power back, and it could be a vicious cycle, and that they are now weaker at a time when they need to be at their strongest. Sir Bear, you want to speak?
I
When
think
YouTube started demonetizing basically any usage of
okay.
Nobody. Your mic was on. Nobody, so I muted you for now. But yeah. Anyways, go ahead, Sir Bear.
Um, I think it's going to be a bit easy to gain the level back for the slaver. Andrea and Cholel are going to hide under the protection of Tatalosian because he really seemed the strongest of the five that are still around. Paxual, the guy is smart enough to gain his level normally because every slaver are in rush hour, are in position to gain power, are in position to do stuff. But I think it's going to be more interesting for Arvia because she got a rulership class, but no kingdom. And I think it's the first time she would have to reconquer her own kingdom from other people. So it could be a really nice opportunity to get XP back.
Yeah, it's Narhavi is in probably the worst position to regain her levels, and well, worst and best. If
Yeah,
she goes and conquers again, she could get a lot of levels.
yeah, she is in a high risk, high reward position, I think, because I
Yeah,
think because she's probably the highest level of all the ghosts, and she probably gained more level than all the slaver anyway by reconquering her kingdom.
yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see what Narhavia's plans are from now on, since she's got her body, she's got the ability to level. Where does she go from here? Thank you, Sir Bear. Bookcase says Shia LaBeouf is going to be the public face of Rochelle, running the Rochelle Media Network with help from Andra Moneybags and Thalokian's numerology. That should get them a lot of levels, though I do take issue with calling Shalui Shia LaBeouf. Anyways, Relia says frickin' ambassador slaver lady is gonna show up on a Rochelle PR tour to the great sights of Israel. Then Aaron's gonna be like, please leave. Actually, then it'll look like that'll happen because she tries to use some slaver skill on her that won't work as well because she's lower level now. Up until the frickin' math slaver guy is gonna show up and Aaron's gonna begrudgingly make temporary allies with them due to some shenanigans on the Solstice, which weaken her position in the second God War. Also, the possession slave guy is gonna ally with New Celts. Guaranteed, they're both jerks. Smile, 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 smile. Okay, Relia, you gotta use some punctuation. Holy shit. Anything besides just parentheses. Use a period. Please. Use a period in your sentence. That whole thing was one sentence. Anyways, you're right. Ambassador Slave Lady is going to go to Israel and she's going to fight with Aaron, and it's going to be fun. And it's good. We need some more anti-Aarons. Val Thurain says, did the Grand Design say that the levels will be regained quicker? I don't think so. But, if you have different experiences, if you have harder experiences, you're going to level up faster. Sidehammer says, they've been dead for thousands of years. I'm sure 10 levels is nothing comparatively. Oh, yeah. Okay. I want to be clear here. Getting a new body and being alive again is absolutely worth the 10 levels. It just puts them in a sticky, precarious situation for the slavers in particular, when they're in they're in a place that wants to actively assassinate them, it seems like. Kill One says they also lost 10 high levels, so it's a lot more experience to regain. So leveling is harder. A good point. Linda says, I'm happy that the 5 ghosts lost 10 levels, but kind of sad that they're still alive. Like, an ideal situation, they would trip on banana peel, break their spines, and roll out of the stairs straight in the pit filled with crawlers. Ancient crawlers. 3 of them, for good measure. Also, at least the Nazi guy got bad ending. For him, get jarred idiot, dab. Okay. I like how you think a banana peel, just tripping on a banana peel will kill these guys. Break their spines. Okay. Bookcase says, related to restoring last levels, will it be easier to level as something different? Would they try to pick up a new class to get synergy skills? They could. That might give them some much needed early power, but who knows? Kill One says for Narhavia, it's also perspective, right? If she still considers it her empire, then it's her just taking it back from rebels, which is a great leveling opportunity for a ruler, one would assume. Oh yeah, for sure. If she can manage it, though, she needs to actually manage to do that, which might be difficult, considering that she's on a different continent and she doesn't have as much pull there. She has some sleeper cells still, some cult people that believe in her, and Nurhavia's fallen, but it's going to be difficult. Anyways, let's move on to another question. We're going to start getting into all the questions that are just about what's going to happen next. So, Terandria versus Baleros, or versus Bloodtears versus, who knows? Who all is joining the battle? Predictions on the outcome, and who the heck were the glowing people that Rabbiteater saw? And that last part is specifically, because Rabbiteater was talking about seeing weirdos and they were glowing in the distance. I'll just touch on that first. I have 2 theories for that. One is they're Goblin Lords or Goblin Lord equivalents, but that would mean there's Goblin Lords in 3 different directions. I think it was west, north, and south, which would be the exact same directions that would be the same directions as the pirates are coming from, which would be weird. I don't know why there'd be Goblin Lords in that direction. The other thought I had was possibly something like Norman's honor vision. He saw people's honor, and he could do it from a pretty big distance. So maybe this is kind of like an honor vision, except Rabbiteater's version of it, or yeah, which doesn't have to be honor. But anyways, I'm not sure. It's interesting foreshadowing that if it is goblins, that adds like a whole new element to the battle that's just gonna go completely haywire. But right now, I think this is gonna get pretty damn bloody in terms of the actual battle itself, because the Bloodtears have already shown that they're sending some serious heavy hitters at Terandria, and they've already surrounded Terandria. So breaking through is going to be really difficult. And Rabbiteater is not at home at battling at sea, and he's got to protect Seraphil, his future wife. So this could get really, really, really bad. But I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. Always hopeful that it won't turn out too horribly. Anyways, now time to speak or read questions and comments and all that. Dart Time Gua says, maybe there's souls that achieved enlightenment. Okay, Dart Time Goose. Maybe there's souls that achieved enlightenment. You're right. That's exactly it. Bookcase says, I think he sees auras in general and not just powerful goblins. Maybe the goblins are the third group in the north. The reason I say it was Goblin Lords is because we've seen in the past that Goblin Lords have been described as being like bonfires to other goblins, and they could see them from great distances. Donkey2012 says, maybe Rabbiteater is getting close to becoming Goblin Lord. Reese seemed to be in his 40s level-wise, so Rabbit is almost there. Well, yes, he's getting there level-wise, I'm sure. But I think it's bigger than just levels. You need, a tribe in general. Bouquet says 4-way naval war. Yeah, that'll be something else. That'll be chaotic as hell. And I'm really interested to see if Pirate Abbott takes it that way. Well, Wu says, I think the glowing people are goblin chieftains or great chieftains, and Rabbiteater is getting to the point where you can see them. I also think that Great Ath is going to make an appearance in the battle. I have a theory that he learned of Rabbiteater's departure to the New Lands, is currently swimming across the ocean to catch up with him. Well, I don't think he's swimming across the ocean. I think if he's going to go to Rabbiteater, he'll, take some of the Goblin Island ship to get there. Because just going to, even for Great Ath, going into the middle of a battle, into the middle of this battle in particular, just alone as Great Ath is suicide. Alright? Like, that's absolutely suicide. Kill One says, if this happens on the Solstice, does the Deep Dead God, the one that wanted Luan, get involved? No. I'm going to say no, because I disagree with the premise of it being a deep dead god, but I won't go into that. I'll just say no. Rhythm Brews, you want to speak?
Yep. So I think that I don't know who all is going to be involved in it, but I think there have to be more people showing up because this, well, it's not a situation that the Terandrian fleet is going to win this. I think the real question to me is what the heck do the Bloodtear pirates actually want out of this? Because they're just attacking this fleet. It's not. I don't know if they're going to get. They're not taking prisoners, so I don't know if they're going to, at least not yet. So I don't know if they're trying to ransom people. I don't. Maybe there's some artifacts they can pick up, but. And I think it was even mentioned in the chapters. What the heck is people going? Why are they even here taking this fight? Other than they're crazy pirates, did someone hire them to go muck with the Terandrian fleet? So that's the most interesting. What's going to happen to me is based in where are the Bloodtear pirates coming from, and why are they doing this, and how are we going to shake that out?
Yeah, so we did see some negotiations go down between Irux and the Bloodtears to get them to join in past chapters. I forget exactly what the negotiations were, but I know part of it was a bunch of healing potions. But I think you're onto something with the artifact statement. We know at least one nation, Iridoran, Erebath, they took their national relic with them. That human supremacy sword. That alone might be worth it for the Bloodtear pirates if they got the sword. It's gonna be, and there's gonna be a lot more artifacts in this fleet, a lot more high-level magics they could probably steal. And I think part of it is also because they're crazy pirates, and this is like a giant statement to them. This is like, oh, we can do this. We're more powerful than anyone knows. We can just destroy this fleet if we wanted to. I think part of it is that statement itself. Relia says, Darn Vanguard are gonna run away because they're confirmed jerks, but Terandria is still gonna win by the skin of their teeth for plot reasons, because the Irie 5 gotta win somehow, but also, of course, Deese is gonna lose his giant lioness because Pirate hates me personally. Also, Bloodtears are gonna ally with the Bloodfeast Raiders now that both are in a bit of a nadir at the moment with the Scorn of the World and a string of defeats on both sides. Also, if anyone's gonna show up at the Battle of Strath, because it'd be hilarious for this convoluted mess to be when Pirate decides to give us a Drathorc. Okay, first off, nowhere the Bloodfeast Raiders and Bloodtear teaming up. Like, I think even if the whole entire world was going after Bloodtear right now, Bloodtear would still try and kill Bloodfeast raiders if they found them. Like, Bloodfeast is completely the Bloodtears are completely against the Bloodfeast. So I don't agree on that. But also, I don't think the lioness is gonna die. I'm very hopeful the lioness lives. Long live lioness, the lionesses. But yeah, thank you, Aurelia. Natroma says, I think the Dragon Lord of Waves is going to come up out of the sea, drawing the Iron Vanguard into the battle, or whatever Bella is doing at the bottom of the sea will affect the battle. You know, that's a very good point. Bella could. Well, I don't think the Dragon Lord of Waves is a good point. I think the Bella part is. Iron Vanguard are definitely going into the battle. Like, I'm 100% sure the Iron Vanguard are getting into this battle. Bella, on the other hand, I do think that's a very interesting point because we did see her relatively recently, and that could very easily be set up for what's coming next on the Solstice for her to have some small part to play. Bookcase says, my crack theory is that maybe intractable Admiral of Sacrifice Dactylos will show up on a spittoon for some reason. Okay, I don't think that's going to happen. Really don't. Really don't think that's going to happen. Linu says, okay, this is a long one, people. Very long. Linu says, there's that everyone joins the battle meme from Super Smash Bros. Where music starts and then you've random people appearing with a short description. So here it'd be like, Greylath, nobody expects the Goblin Inquisition. Dragon Lord of Waves, rawr, enemy dragon, spit the water at his enemies who die of disgust because they think it's saliva. Rabbiteater, Goblet Slayer. Bloodtears pirates. I am pirate, not pirate Arbor. Arux, missed me, bug time. You're a Dorian. Mom, what do you mean by saying that? Kazlord, my lion is smarter than I am. The lion nods. I think it's going to be a storm, but not a normal storm. No, Captain. We are entering the shitstorm. Brace your minds. Bring the popcorn. For me, though, not for Sylvania because she doesn't like it, but we are in for a treat. Also, Bryven, who is a fan of sea chapters like me, says is delightful, and I can't wait for the shit that is about to go down. Ships go brr. Let's go. Yeah. Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot. I can't even process that. I'm not going to try and process that either. Book K says Irax was meeting up with pirates to hire them for that a few chapters ago. Yeah, he was. Also, Descanter, you can do singing at the end of this if you want to. I'll let you know once we get there. McChuckles says, does anyone think that Seraphil and Rabbiteater will end up shipwrecked together with maybe one other person on Goblin Island or saved by a Goblin ship? That'd be interesting. I'd like that. That'd be cool. And then we would get the we'd get the ultimate ship. Relia says, oh my god, like the Titanic movie? McChuckles says, yes, exactly. Yes, that's exactly right. Exactly like Titanic. With everything that happens in Titanic, except Seraphil is the guy and Rabbit is the girl, so Rabbit doesn't die, okay? Seraphil dies. Expectations switched. Sahale says, did Aaron pay the Iron Vanguard to save the Terandrians with the adamantium armor? Oh yeah, that's a great point. We saw that Aaron was messaging the Iron Vanguard. So it's very possible that Aaron is trying to get the Iron Vanguard to interfere in this battle, which is one of the reasons why I absolutely think the Iron Vanguard is going to join the battle. Bookcase says Rabbit would force his way onto the door. Absolutely. Rabbit could just shove Seraphil into the water. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Dark Time Guru says, oh my god, like the Lord of Flies? Shut up, Dark Time Guru. Shut up. All right, let's move on. Next question. What part will horns have to play in the upcoming solstice? They've been missing in the Crossroads for over a week now, and the very last line of the chapter was I'm scrolling, trying to get to it. It was, except for one group of 5 running through a world even Casigna did not know. So, out a group of 5, Kolth and the Horns. Kolth is obviously the most important of them. Anyways, we got a group of 5 who have been missing in the Crossroads for over a week. A week of being in the Crossroads. And numerology guy has said, oh look, these people whose numbers cross paths with Aaron's all the time are suddenly missing. So if I gotta say this is some setup for some very, very obvious very obvious setup for the horns coming to Aaron's Inn during the solstice, I think. I think it is set up for that, for me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not happening. But I definitely do think they're going to pop out during the solstice. I'm reading the writing on the wall right now and deciphering it that way. So yeah. But I'm also pretty worried about them because seriously, over a week in the Crossroads, that's a long ass time. Anyways, Bookcase says crossword puzzle with the horns. Wow. Kill says horns ex machina. Listen, it's not a deus ex machina if it's not if it's set up, you know? And it's been set up. It has been set up. So I'll just say no to that. Anyways, Dunkey says if horns become part of the solstice infight, I think Pisces will reach level 40 from it. He's a deathbane necromancer after all. Oh yeah, that's a good point. This is like the perfect opportunity for him to hit 40. Wherever they are. It's a perfect opportunity for him to hit 40. Dart Time Guru says it's a sign that they'll uncover the enemy weakness. Huh. That could be interesting. Instead of just going to the inn, they contribute in some other way, possibly through information. McChuckles says, I was debating if Pirate would put the horns in already upgraded. Sorry. I was debating if Pirate would put the horns in already upgraded with no story chapters for the upgrades during Solstice, or if we get their arc just before the Solstice hits. Seems like it will be the chapters before the Solstice or during it. I am having so much trouble figuring out what you mean by already upgraded or upgrade. Do you mean leveling up into different classes? I think maybe something like that. Relia says, whatever the quest reward is, my guess, instant level 4, instant 40 levels up. Okay. For the mythical quest, the horns complete on their cool little journey is going to be able to hurt the gods in a very humiliating way that makes them go back home to signal and cry. Also, this is going to make them a name ranked team, which is going to give them the ability to go anywhere in the book for the next plot development and their arc. Yeah. I gotta say, Relia, I don't see any of that happening ever. We've seen the quest reward for a mythical quest, and it was not 40 levels up instantly. That's like going from almost named ranked to Sylvania level in one go. Like, come on, you can't. That's not possible. It's not possible. Anyways, Bookcase says, didn't we figure out that Lesagoth or Imarolith was somewhere near to Liskor, relatively speaking, from what we're said? I forget. If you find the quote, I'll read it out, but I think you might be right. Bookcase. Rhythm Brew, or sorry, Sidehammer, you wanted to speak?
Yeah, I've been meaning to say for like the last couple of weeks is if we see the horns before the solstice, then they're going to be joining the solstice. I've been meaning to put that out there. I might have in different different chats or whatever. But yeah, I'm totally down for the horns to show up for the solstice and be one of the ways out. Obviously, Heathen will be a big to do. I do really wonder what the horns will portal out of the butts. Maybe it's just the pathway from the medium tribes to Liscor for now, or if there's another city in between, it'd be fine. I don't really expect them to pull an artifact out of their ass. I think that would just be like two Deus Ex Machina ish. You know, it's like, oh, we didn't even know about this thing existing, and now it's here. Woohoo! Yeah, that'd be kind of weak. But I do like them. I do like the idea that they do show up. Pisces would be a godsend during an undead invasion, like he always has been. Um, even if Lone would be, because she's made of metal and can't be very hard to eat by our. That's generally the way the undead like to kill things. So yeah, I think the horns are just really good against undead. They're just really good against them. Even Kismet will probably be all right. But I do think that I'm just glad we're about to see them. I would wonder how their the last week has been, and I expect a nice little flashback to how insanely difficult it is. I suspect that Ware and Koth are both still alive. They're the most experienced. Plus, Ware is also just a luck generator like Mersha is, and he's had some bad luck in the in the Crossroads before, so I think he's earned some he's earned some he's earned some brownie points. He's got some brownie points saved up. But yeah, that's my thought.
Thank you, Sidehammer. You're absolutely right that the horns are amazing at undead. They've dealt with undead countless times before, so if they do make it back to N, they would be invaluable right there. Rhythm Brews, you're up.
Right. A bunch of things going on here. First, I don't know if you just didn't want to deign to note Dark Time Quiz's pun. It's a sign they'll uncover the enemy weakness, or if
I didn't
you
even read
didn't
it.
actually notice it.
I didn't
So
notice it. Nope. Didn't notice it.
okay,
Wow.
just wanted to check on that. A thing that I was actually wondering when you said it's obviously the horns and Kolth was I wondered if it was the horns and Ware, because they said Ware was associated with them and possibly opened it. So I don't know if Ware just kind of helped the horns and Kolth get there and said good luck and they went, or if Kolth is doing something else and Ware is actually the one with them, is the question. I don't know if there's anything that answers that question, but that was my thought there. I think if the horns get back, it's kind of interesting to me whether they'll get back, because Pirate really likes people not getting where they're going in time, and that driving plots. And so I think there's like the horns may come back, and as people have pointed out, they'll be great at the Deathbane. Everyone will get level 40. Though they'll probably get level 40 here with the Crossroads nonsense if they do well there. But I think there's actually a pretty reasonable chance that the horns will just be off doing that Crossroad thing, miss the Solstice, and come back in Volume 10 to deal with that after dealing with a bunch of those things. And then the last thing I thought of was, have we actually seen a mythic quest reward? I thought all the quests that have actually been completed were only heroic ones. Like Zeladonna's was heroic, the chess quest was heroic, as I remember.
Origins quest was heroic.
Which one was that? Yeah, Origin. So wait, was Origins mythic?
Yeah.
Or heroic? Okay.
Mythic, sorry. Did I say heroic? I meant mythic.
Fair. Okay. So we have seen that. So I just was thinking back and going, wait, all those quests I can think of were all heroic. Was there a mythic one? And you are right. There is one. So those are my thoughts. And I think Pirate is actually really good at this. Will someone show up or will they not? Because they've shown that they're perfectly willing to take pivotal people and where they really, really should be according to all the build-up and all the narrative, and then saying, nope, they're actually over there while this is going on, or they didn't make it in time or things. So it's a big question for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. It could just be a rug pull and how it's kind of being set up right now, and all of a sudden they can't make it. They're just barred from making it, and it turns out, and that makes it the in battle turn out worse than it was.
Or they end up doing something that's related to it, but they're over there kind of fighting some other fight. Like either they're still mired in the Crossroads doing their own thing, or they're caught up in a side battle and so are involved but don't actually join in with the rest of the crew.
I could see that too. Absolutely. On your were question, the reason why I think it's Kolth and the horns and not Kolth, it's not horns and Kolth and were. Wow. Is because Wur was very explicit that he did not want to go into the Crossroads. Like he was going to let them in, but he was not going to go with them. So if it's 5 people, I definitely think it's Colt and the Horns rather than Wur being stuck in there with them. Just because,
It makes sense. I just don't know that Wur succeeded in his plan not to get to the Crossroads. Also, Wur up there with that guy named There as far as names go.
Yeah. Got an interesting one. Anyways, thank you, Rhythm Brews. Bouquet's linked a quote that does say, it does say that Bless Goth is kind of it's a broken mountain across what they call the Hivelands, stretching all the way past Palace, which, it could mean that's going towards is Litscore, but I'm not sure that's 100% sure. Anyways, Sahala says City of Graves is right there. The Horns can't exit the Crossroads except for specific locations. The fact they didn't take Wur means they don't have a good exit plan. The City of Graves is one of the only exits left. They could just exit, so my thought this entire time has been that Casigna is going to use the dungeon's monsters as her puppets, basically, and the City of Graves in particular, to attack Litscore. And if the Horns teleport into the City of Graves behind the enemy lines, I could see that being very helpful in some circumstances, or suicidally dangerous in other circumstances. All right, here comes the big one, the massive read through. Let me prep for this, okay? 1 second. Lenu says, I have 2 theories. Main one, Pitbull and Black Eyed Peas get as a guide into Inworld, mainly into the Crossroads with tens of bottles of pure booze, and now they're partying in ruins of City of Reeve. Pisces is sniffing vodka and making remarks how actually it's not as clean as it should be, while Syria is happily drinking more than any chipmunk can survive. Also, Pitbull is rizzing a crawler that got stuck in the Crossroads. Correct theory. Horns are leveling there, finding new stuff, getting more experience really fast, and once this starts, there are going to be armies of the dead led by their great undead champions against N. Teriak is going to run away because there's like 0.1% chance that he will die. Unicorn will fight. Tolv will start screeching and fight all the armies. Tyrion will grab Zitagen and use his thighs like a mace to smash Draugrs. Ryoka will drop Magnolia on them like a 1,000 kilogram boulder time and time again. Overall, it's going to be a great battle, but the N is going to lose it until the moment for Horns will come out of the Crossroads. Aaron will ask them, did you guys level? They will all nod. Aaron, how much? They will probably say 2 levels. After that, they will start running away, and Cloth will just save the day by destroying an entire army of undead at once because he's like Batman but cooler, and they say that Batman with prep time can't lose what it was 5 days. Prep time. Ergo, Cloth is going to save the day. Okay, Cloth is going to save the day. I like how this is ending. This is a very good theory. I think that crack theory might be less crack than your main theory, but okay. Anyways, Colt is absolutely going to save the day. You're right. They probably will gain like 20 levels, not 2 levels, but overall a good theory. Anyways, Relia says, "Oh my god, what if on a solstice it ain't undead, but recently revived souls in like real bodies, so all their true gold doesn't work?" That'd be a lot of work, I think, for Casigna to pull off. I think the reason why I think Casigna is going to do the dungeon is because she doesn't have a lot of power right now to expend. I mean, so utilizing what's already there would help her out. Relia says Casigna's. Sorry, first, book I said sword still a sword, and Relia says Casigna is like super tall. She can do it if she wants. Okay, yes, she is super tall. She can do anything that she wants because she's super tall. Part Time Guru says, so you're saying it won't be a tall order. Okay. We've read yet another pun. So this is going to be the last question of the day. And then we'll go to Descanter serenading us with his beautiful voice. Anyways, first off, let's do the last question. Cauwhiney has been suspiciously silent in the run-up to the solstice. She has only made one short appearance in the system chapter. Where will she make her move? Where do you guys expect her to appear? Because we've seen where Casigna is going to come up. Casigna is going to the end. That's her battle. And I kind of expect Cauwhiney to say, okay, I don't want to be near her because that's just not her thing. It's, the gods are all petty and they don't want to be in the same place at once, maybe. And so Cauwhiney, I definitely think she's going to the fleet fight. And McChuckles says the same thing. McChuckles says the fleet fight. I am 100% agreeing with you there. That's like the biggest battle outside of the inn. And it's going to involve so many different forces at play, so many high-level fighters that I absolutely think Cauwhiney is going to be like, ooh, this is a juicy battle. Let's go there and have some fun. And it's kind of unexpected because Aaron has been prepping for both Caligma and Cauwhiney to come to her inn. And I think if Cauwhiney goes somewhere else, it's kind of unexpected. Donkey says, wherever and whenever is the most dramatic. Okay. She could teleport around. She's God. She could do that. She could go to several different battles during the day. Third Time Goo says, might be interesting if she makes a deal with Jarlanod. Jarlanod is, really useless at this point. I don't think she would want to make a deal with a useless person who has almost no chance of getting out of that jar ever. Relia says, Drath, because she admires how her ghost fought to the end and kiss Signal. So we're just going to get a Drath POV from Cauwhiney's point of view, and Relia just says, yes. Okay, I would like that. I would like to get a Drath point of view. That'd be cool. Though I don't expect it. It would just be cool. Bouquet says, Baleros and she goes into the Dielands and tries to get Niers or Foliana and do something to the Labyrinth Souls, ends up getting Jungle Tales. Huh. That's like, I think that's probably the most out there. Well, no, Drath is the most out there theory. Bookcases Baleros is probably like the second most out there theory, simply because we haven't had any setup for it. We haven't seen, we haven't gotten a viewpoint from Niers or the Dielands in a long time. Lots of chapters. And I don't mean Niers talking in the end. He's obviously talked in the end. They've done setup for the end battle, but them talking about the Dielands and that kind of dealio hasn't happened for a while. So I don't expect Baleros the continent to be in this battle at all, or be in this solstice at all, I should say. Rhythm Brew says Cauwhiney's 5 fleet flight fright. Wow, that's a name. Okay. Luna says, the question is not where, the question is if. The answer is not. She's a rebel, a warrior, an unhinged dumpster fire that somehow was born a god. She is unto gods with a raccoon on it 20 pounds of purest contaminated junk meth is to rest of animal kingdom. An outcast that everyone looks at and questions their sanity. She's going to ignore the solstice just because this is spitting every other god. Other gods are saying it's important. She's going to ignore it and spend the day on a Snapchat because she's just this different. Truly a girl like no other. Rebellious teen that drunk pure bleach instead of milk when she was a child. So says the cat. All right. This is now the most crack theory. Even more crack theory than the draft that Relia gave us. Because, out of everything, she's absolutely going to show up somewhere on the solstice. This is like the one point in time where she can interact with the world in a significant manner. She can't let that option slip out of her hands. She has to interact somewhere. It is going to happen. Absolutely. Relia says she's going to show up the next day because she's fashionably late. She inherited the girl boss energy of Sprigana. Showing up one day late means she's not showing up at all because the solstice is when they can show up in the world. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm gonna faint from all these terrible opinions. Kynea says she could backstab Casigna at the last moment, trying to steal her power. Yeah, she could. I just don't know if she'd be successful because I think Casigna is kind of expecting it at this point. Bookcase says, oh, speaking of ghosts, Cauwhiney ate Lucina. She's got to target Rochelle now. See, the thing is, we just don't know what Rochelle is actually doing on the solstice, which was going to be one of the questions, but we ran out of time. But anyways, we don't know what they're actually doing on the solstice. So I think her targeting an actual a huge battle makes more sense to me right now. Kill says she's going to use Elevin. He wants to be fighter and is 100% willing to sell out. Yeah, that could happen. It could. Sahala says Tammy and Dorashel are coming back to Solstice as well. They can come back and affect things like wake Actelios again. I do think that we're going to see, like in an epilogue, that Zarkuth and I forget which of the age alum it was. Was it Razia? I forget. Anyways, I do think that we'll see Zarkuth fail during like an epilogue to the solstice. And so Tammy and Norishal come back. Sir Bear says, I think Cauwhiney is going to Yusame. She is the goddess of last stands, and Yusame is in a last stand situation with all the messes and Nerhavi's fallen. I think the time to grab Earthers is pretty much over, so you need to grab world leaders. See, my issue with this is the same as the issue with the Baleros prediction. We just haven't seen any setup for her going somewhere besides the battles. Linu says, do you really expect Cauwhiney of all people to keep track of dates? Her, Wiggles, if you threw a stick named Glory, she would run after it because she's a glory seeker. Other gods are dumb now because their brains rotted. Cauwhiney was just born this way. Okay, Casigna dropping her when she was a toddler added more flavor to it. Okay, Linu, I'm not even going to argue that point. We're just going to move past it. Anyways, that's the last part of this after chapter discussion. Now, if the Scanter is still here, the Scanter, you here?
I am here.
All right, now is the time to ping. I guess it was Asteria who wanted to listen, and
I did just ping her. I see that she's offline. So
okay, maybe we wait a couple minutes, see if she comes back, and see if because she did want to come and listen to your beautiful song. All right, it's time to waffle and waste time. So, waffling and wasting time. Let's talk about. Yes, let's not come up with another witty comment in the meantime. Let's not do that, Linu. let's think about how Sylvania. Okay, Linda, what is Sylvania going to do on the solstice? What is she going to do? Give me your prediction. And anyone else, any other predictions you guys have for the solstice? It can pertain to anything that happens during it. Just give me predictions. Or crack theories. I'm fine with crack theories too. Oh my god. Relia says Sylvania's gonna make out with Blighting. Oh man. Linu is saying don't read that. Okay, sorry, Linu. I've already read it. It can't be unread. Unfortunately.
Okay, is it working?
Yes, it's working. Hello,
Okay,
Linu.
great. Then I can give you my prediction. This is Sylvania question. The Sylvania questions require me to use my microphone. You cannot answer a Sylvania question using just a simple text. This cannot do. So I can break it down into like two different possibilities. One is just pure crack that absolutely nothing is going to happen, and this is if all of the other gods, Casigna, Cauwhiney, Tamarov, the Unhinged Shadow, and other ones just would be scared of Rihir, and the Selpian god would just stay true to her name and would sleep through the solstice. So in that kind of scenario, I think nothing special would happen, but I do not think that this is going to happen. Solstice is a special time, like Christmas. And you know what happens on Christmas? We do get the gifts. And what is a gift for someone like Sylvania? More magic. And what do we know that is happening on Solstice? More magic. And this is exactly what I think is going to happen. First off, we are going to have the Antinium fighting down below against all of the spawns of the Sleepy. And they are going to get absolutely slurped because they are Antinium and they have no chance of winning. And they are going to be like, we have to defeat and slay the god. And Sleepy is going to like, no, you can't slay the god. I'm going to slurp you. Slurp, slurp, and they are dead. Okay, maybe not most of them, but a lot of Antinium casualties down there, I think. That's my prediction for them. And there is pretty big option that she is going to spot it. And she will start to prepare because she, like in the same way that it happened at the end of the volume 8, will know that something is wrong. And this time around, she might actually know what's wrong because she listened to Erin talk about the sticks and they come back into the world. So she might know that this is something that is going to happen. So I think she's going to be preparing for all the bad shit that can happen to the Demon Kingdom. And if nothing, only in this case, and if nothing evil happens to the Demon Kingdom during this time, so to say, no Simwalkers, no monster coming out of the ground, no some random attacks of Cauwhiney going YOLO on Rihir, then I think she's going to try to gather as much mana and as much of the Solstice special magic as it's possible, and then unleash it on the Blighted Kingdom. Why? I'm not sure, but I'm sure that it's going to be epic. So those are my two predictions. One is crack,
All
one is
right. All right. Good predictions, Linu. Thank you.
okay.
Anyways, thank you, Linu.
Wait.
Always fun.
One more thing.
Oh, all right.
Elia, it's not going to happen. No.
Okay. I'm gonna read out these last few comments, and then we'll go to Rhythm Brews. I'm sorry for Hysteria, but we can't wait too much longer. Anyways, Donkey says crack theory, the end does not get disintegrated. Wow. Doubt that, okay? Sahalis says entire Irie 5 will die. I really hope that doesn't happen. Rabbiteater is amazing. The other four are pretty cool, but I could deal with them being dead. But Rabbiteater, no. Relia says, what if Sylvania doesn't know it's a solstice until that morning? Kind of like how Aaron didn't know it was Christmas until that morning. Yes, Relia, I think you're projecting here when you say people are going to forget these things. I think you're projecting. Bouquet says, it just cracks in half for the end. McChuckles says, if monsters come out of the ground under here, would Cauwhiney be pulled towards the fighting, or would she avoid it? I feel like she would be able to gain a massive amount of followers instantly if she saved Rahere from a possible new Cruller level threat. That would have to actually have a threat come then. So who knows if that will happen. Dark Time Guru says Rissy becomes the new Elven and takes the Ryoko Griffin levels. Wolvu says Erin's Inn is going to explode again. Her level 50 skill will let her rebuild the whole inn instantly. Although that's a powerful skill, I definitely don't think that's level 50 worthy. Like, that would be such a disappointment to so many different people if that was her level 50 skill. Just saying. Anyways. Okay. Bouquet says Ryoko with win. Mimic level 2. Okay. Rhythm Brews, I think it's time. We've given Asteria a good, 10 minutes to come.
We have.
She hasn't. So let's hear it. Let's get serenaded. I give you guys all Descanter with a song.
All right. So I had actually two of them, so I had to pick which one, either a bit of nonsense or Linu's long delayed birthday present. So we are going to go with, since Linu's here, this is your long delayed birthday present. I'm sorry that there's not more Sylvania in it, but it is all about Rear. So this is a lullaby. Since everyone else got lullabies, this one is going to be a lullaby that you might sing to a little demon child on Rear. Deaths of Rear. Death of seasons, death of night, and death of rationality. Death of waves and death of voices, death of reality. Some are named for what they're made of, some are named for what they hate. All are sovereign in their sphere, all have immeasurable weight. Empress Sheeta's greatest daughter laughs away arrows and slings, rises up. Take shelter underneath the death of wings, death of metal, death of winds, death of glory, death of stone, death of skill and death of dust, death of wisdom, death of bone. Sleep with joy and sleep with wonder, for one night sleep without fear. Pushing back the world asunder are the deathless deaths of Rear. When despairing, look towards the distant rainbow in the sky. Chowthak Shay, the death of chains, slavers' retributions nigh. Death of colors, death of plenty, death of will and death of vines. Death of horror, death of friendship, death of scales and death of rhyme. Concepts, elemental forces, notions of surpassing breadth. Time and purpose, overwhelming power is what makes a death. Archmage of forgotten eras, island breaker, elves' last curse. Though our enemies have monsters, take heart knowing ours is worse. Sleep and level, learn and grow, protect us whom all others blame. Be a master of your craft, and may the deathless know your name. May you join the deathless game. There we go.
Wow. I'm clapping. I don't know if you can hear me clapping, but good job, wow, what was the title?
I can.
Good job, Rhythm Bruce. Alright, that's my clapping.
Like all the happy birthday wiggles going.
God damn it.
But no, happy birthday, Linu. It was late.
Yeah.
It took a
Great
while.
song for Leto. All right,
Gives you an idea.
but with that, we're gonna end the after chapter discussion. Thank you again, Descanter, for serenading us. It was great. That was the after chapter discussion for 9.63.